Before the era of supermodels and the fashion industry turning into a billion-dollar phenomenon, there was a girl named Gia. Fierce, fragile, untamed, and unforgettable. She burst into the high fashion scene like a storm, not refined, not flawless, but undeniably real, painfully, gloriously real. Many labeled her as the first supermodel. Some deemed her the iconic face of the 1980s. Others viewed her as a tragic symbol, a life too brilliant to endure. However, prior to the fame, advertisements, and heartache, we take a step back to witness where it all started. Gia Carangi was born on January 20, 1960, in the working-class neighborhoods of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She was raised as the youngest of three siblings in a tumultuous, unstable environment. Her father, Joseph Carangi, owned a small diner and was strict, hardworking, and distant. Kathleen Adams, her mother, had her aspirations but felt confined in an unsatisfying marriage. Their relationship was loud, violent, filled with disputes that echoed through the walls. Gia was just 11 years old when her mother left, abandoning her in a home that had lost its sense of comfort. Her sense of abandonment lingered. Gia spent the remainder of her life seeking someone or something that made her feel valued. She longed for both recognition and a way to escape. Gia wasn't the most popular cheerleader or the top student in her high school. She was the girl with wild ideas, loud music, and a punk rock vibe. She discovered a sense of belonging in Philadelphia's underground punk scene, a refuge for outsiders and nonconformists. There, she faced no judgment. She was acknowledged. She chopped off her hair, donned worn clothing, applied heavy eyeliner, and listened to Bowie and Patti Smith. This was more than a mere fashion. It served as her shield. Unbeknownst to her, her raw and unique style was precisely what the fashion industry desired. Gia wasn't typically deemed cute. She had a distinct charm. With a strong jawline, dark eyebrows, delicate lips, and striking eyes, she caught the attention of cameras. Not because she smiled, but because she didn't need to. She wasn't trying to be appealing. She simply was. New York City is where dreams come true and nightmares begin. For a girl like Gia, it was the ideal storm. She was just 17 when she came, carrying a small luggage and looking defiant.
Gia got it all at once. She walked into New York 4 years ago from Philadelphia and captured the limelight instantly.
No formal training, no polished politeness, just pure magnetism. Gia walked inside the Wilhelmina modeling agency office as if she owned the space. According to legend, Wilhelmina Cooper observed her and murmured to her staff, "This girl is going to change everything." Her initial test shoots were electrifying. Photographers couldn't believe what they were catching. Not just poses, but entire stories in each frame. She could flex her body, arch her back, or simply stand still, and it looked like poetry. Soon after, she was booked for an editorial with Chris von Wanenheimer, the controversial fashion photographer known for his dark, provocative images. It was daring, adventurous, and edgy, and Gia fit right in. That shot propelled her into the big leagues. By 1979, Gia had graced the cover of Vogue US several times: April 1979, October 1979, January 2020. She is featured on multiple Cosmopolitan covers, many of which were photographed by renowned photographer Francesco Scavullo, who referred to her as his muse. Gia was more than simply a print model. She walked the runways of Paris, Milan, and New York. Designers appreciated her daring walk. She models for Armani, Versace, Calvin Klein, Yves Saint Laurent, and Chloe. Every fashion show she walked seemed like an occasion. Her appearance would immediately draw attention. She had presence. Her carefree walking style made her unforgettable. Gia did not behave like the other girls. She didn't feign a smile. She did not play the polite supermodel character. She was wild, loud, and occasionally reckless. And it worked. While other models followed directions, Gia became the center of attention in every room. She wasn't just in the picture, she was the picture. Fame didn't just elevate Gia, it exposed her. Underneath the glamour, she was still the broken girl from Philadelphia, now surrounded by temptation, yet starving for love. In 1980, she had acquired a new title in industrial circles, the first supermodel. Unlike previous models, people wanted to know her identity, background, and personality. She wasn't just a face, she was a cultural icon. Fashion photographers competed to work with her. Designers requested her by name. Magazines sold out faster when her visage appeared on the cover. At the zenith of her career, she earned $10,000 every day, which was unheard of at the time. One of her most memorable ads was for Calvin Klein jeans, in which her piercing stare, heavy brows, and unvarnished attitude created something new for fashion. They made it emotional. That campaign became historic. According to some, the campaign was responsible for Calvin Klein's global success. Between camera flashes and after parties, Gia was becoming a legend. However, there's a downside to fame. Gia was already starting to feel it. She was everywhere, including magazine covers, fashion weeks, Studio 54 nights, European photo shoots. Despite her aggressive walk and stunning eyes, loneliness had started to sneak in. Soon, a deadly habit became a constant companion. Gia began using drugs casually at parties, particularly at Studio 54, a famed nightclub where models, rock stars, and celebrities partied till morning. However, for Gia, it was more than just partying. It was coping. Industry peer quote, "Everyone was doing something, coke, quaaludes, but with Gia, it was different." She not only used drugs, but also withdrew inside them. Heroin quickly became her drug of choice. She started turning up for shoots with needle marks on her arms, sometimes covered in makeup. One photographer reported seeing bloodstains on garments backstage when Gia injected herself just before the presentation. Wilhelmina Cooper's death in 1980 devastated Gia. Wilhelmina was more than an agent. She was a mother figure and guardian. Gia felt much more lost following her death. Gia once said,
"She helped me when I had just started. As a friend, she helped me. And as an agent, she helped me."
Without that direction, her spiral accelerated. Gia had relationships with both men and women, although she was more emotionally drawn to women. Sandy Linter, a makeup artist, was one of her most known companions. Their connection was intense yet unstable. Sandy once stated in an interview, she craved affection so much that she'd collapse if you didn't pay attention to her.
I remember Gia kind of grabbing me, and her eyes looked like wild. They were like dancing. They looked like flames. And she just grabbed me.
It was difficult to watch. Gia would frequently call her pals late at night crying and requesting them to sleep over because she was afraid of being alone. By late 1981, she missed complete photo shoots, would show up high and not off. Some brands have outright banned her. Magazines began taking her out of advertisements or replacing her with newer models, such as Cindy Crawford, who was cruelly dubbed Baby Gia because she resembled her. The industry that once crowned her queen now barely picked up her calls. Gia was admitted to Eagleville Hospital in Pennsylvania, followed by a rehabilitation facility in New York. In her journal, she wrote,
"I want to be alive. I want to feel protected again."
For a short time, she progressed, even landing a few modest modeling jobs in 1982-83. But the addiction persisted. She apparently began doing sex work to sustain her habit during her darkest days, a devastating decline for someone who had earned $10,000 per day for a single photo shoot. Francesco Scavullo.
He had the saddest eyes I've ever seen, even when she smiled.
Her mother, Kathleen. Gia was always fragile. She wanted love more than fame. Fame didn't save her, it killed her. Gia Carangi not only modeled clothing, but also an attitude. And that mindset sparked a revolution. Gia was admitted to Hahnemann University Hospital after contracting pneumonia, a complication of AIDS. She had severe infections, her immune system collapsing. She called former friends, agents. Many didn't pick up. Some didn't believe she was truly sick. Others were scared of AIDS. Her arms were scarred. Her hair thinned, her body shrank. She spent her last days mostly alone, watched over by nurses and her mother, Kathleen Adams, who finally came back to care for her broken daughter. On November 18, 1986, Gia Carangi died due to AIDS-related complications. She was only 26. She was buried in a small funeral in Philadelphia. A few friends came, almost no one from the fashion world. Her death didn't make shockwaves. It made silence. And that silence said everything. Gia, 1998 HBO movie starring Angelina Jolie. A haunting, emotional portrayal. Jolie said, "Playing Gia was like playing a fire that's burning from inside out." The film won awards and reintroduced Gia's story to a new generation. Thing of Beauty, a biography by Stephen Freed, became a bestseller, exposing her raw life and impact. Fashion schools teach her story as both artistic genius and cautionary tale. Her name returned as legend. She once wrote, "Life and death, energy and peace. If I stopped today, it was still worth it." In the end, Gia did stop, too soon. But what she left behind truly was worth it. Her existence was brief, but her impact was infinite. She didn't die forgotten. She became immortal.